In today's video, I would like to discuss a very important choice that all of us will have to make at the start of our journey in Baldur's Gate 3. And this, of course, deals with choosing to play as a custom character or an origin character. But this discussion will also help many of you figure out who you want your companions to be. Now, in terms of spoilers, the first half of this video is the main discussion, and it should be spoiler-free. But in the second half, I'm actually going to play out the earlier, more intro-like scenes for each of the origin characters in Early Access when you're first meeting them in Act 1. So I would say that these are light Act 1 spoilers. I'll also be including a Dark Urge scene and an updated Karlach and Wyll scene, which is not footage that you can get from Early Access. I will have chapter markers below. Now, these scenes will definitely give you an initial feel and vibe for who these origin characters are. Let's begin. So, custom character or origin character, the first major decision that you'll make in Baldur's Gate 3. A custom character will allow you to have a blank slate to work off of, and you can name and create your very own character in appearance, race, and class, and there's no predetermined backstory. Some of you will end up creating yourself, which is awesome. RPing a version of myself in a fantasy RPG is what I love to do on my first run, as it can be highly immersive. Others will create wacky characters with crazy faces and unheard of names, and some will RP characters, let's say from D&D campaigns, or maybe even RP a character from like a television show or something like that. It's up to you, and you won't run into any situations in the game where, let's say, an NPC says to you, "Hey, I can't let you come into my tavern because you did this 20 years ago," or an NPC that attacks you on the street because of work that they say you did with a faction in the realms long ago. That just won't happen. Sven, the CEO and creative director of Larian, actually recommends to those of you who have plans on playing this game a few times to start off with a custom character, and we'll talk about why he feels that way after I go over what an origin character is. So if you choose to play as an origin character, you're playing as a character who has a predetermined history in the realms. There's a deep backstory that goes along with each of these characters that will of course tie into the main story of this game, but they each also have their own unique stories and quests. And where they come from and what their lives have been like up to this point will drive the way that the world reacts to them. And it'll also drive the options that are presented to you as you play the game. Think of it as playing as Geralt in The Witcher, although I should point out that even though you do have this set past, you'll still have plenty of agency over your actions and also the future of that origin character's story. For example, if you're playing as an origin character who is a good character and seems to be of the morally good alignment, even though this game doesn't have a set alignment system, you can still push a cute innocent bard and a couple squirrels off a cliff if you so wish. You can change the future of these origin characters, but their past will always be their past, and that will affect the game. Now, with origin characters, all except one of them, which I'll talk about here shortly, does not appear as if you'll be able to change their names or appearance, and initially you also won't be able to change their class. If you notice in the footage that I'm showing right here, right when the player selects an origin character, the Edit Appearance button grays out. And this of course makes sense, as you're choosing to play this predetermined character who already lore-wise is established in the realms. We do know, however, that you can actually change their class, but this will be through an NPC that you'll meet fairly early on in Act 1, who will offer you the chance to respec for gold. Do note, though, that when you respec an origin character's class, or a companion character's class for that matter, out of their established class, this game will still treat them as if they are that original established class. So if you turn Shadowheart into a ranger, well, the game will still react to her as if she's a cleric. She'll be treated as a cleric, and her story will play out as her being a cleric. At least that's the way that I interpreted it when Larian spoke on this subject. The cool thing about this is, yeah, you can still experience the full story of an origin character while also playing them as the class that you prefer. While the negative side of changing their class will be that it may not always make sense. I'm sure before you respec out of an origin character's established class, Larian will probably have a pop-up warning box. Now, the exception here is the origin character called the Dark Urge, of which you can change their name, appearance, and class all right away in character creation. The Dark Urge still has a predetermined backstory, but the interesting thing here is that they don't remember their backstory. So you, the player, don't know their past, and the Dark Urge doesn't know their past. Part of playing the Dark Urge is going to be to figure out what happened. and also how you'll handle the present. It's an interesting concept that merges an origin character with a custom character. Now, the Dark Urge does get these strange urges to kill, although you do have some agency over how you attempt to handle these urges. So who are the origin characters? And do note that this is not the spoiler section yet. Astarion prowled the night as a vampire spawn for centuries, serving a sadistic master until he was snatched away. Now he can walk in the light, but can he leave his wicked past behind? But that was actually his early access description, and we got to see an updated description in the panel from Hell, which reads as, after 200 years serving a cruel master, the vampire spawn Astarion is finally free. Free to walk in the sun, free to chase power, and free to take revenge. Astarion is a high elf, and his established class is the rogue. Lae'zel is a consummate warrior, ferocious even by the standards of a Githyanki creche. Faced with transforming into the very monster she has sworn to destroy, Lae'zel must prove herself worthy of rejoining her people, if they do not execute her first. Lae'zel is a Githyanki, and her established class is the fighter. Gale has one ambition, to become the greatest wizard Faerun has ever known, yet his thirst for magic led to disaster. A Netherese destruction orb beats in his chest, counting down to an explosion that can level a city. Gale is confident he'll overcome it, but time is not on his side. And Gale is a human, and his established class is of course the wizard. One of Shar's dark disciples, Shadowheart was sent on a suicide mission to steal an item of great power. While wrestling with her faith and strange untamed magic, Shadowheart has enemies on all sides, and a long-buried secret to uncover. Shadowheart is a half-elf, and her established class is the cleric class. Noble by birth, Wyll made his name as the heroic Blade of Frontiers. He keeps his pact with the devil well hidden, and is desperate to escape the hellish bargain, even if that means rescuing the seductive creature that made the deal. And Wyll is a human, and his established class is the warlock. But do note that Wyll's character has been rewritten, so I'm not sure if that's the official description for him anymore, and I didn't take notes on Wyll when I was playing because I didn't realize that he had been rewritten right when I was in character creation. With that said, stick around to see a special scene with Wyll later on in the video. Karlach has escaped 10 years of service in the Hells with nothing but the axe on her back and the infernal hell engine blazing furiously where her heart used to be. Karlach is a tiefling, and her established class is the barbarian. And last but certainly not least is the Dark Urge. You remember nothing but a path paved with blood. Unimaginable cruelty whispers to you from within. Can you escape it? Would you even want to? And the Dark Urge, like I mentioned earlier, is completely customizable, so whatever race and class that you want. So what will you choose, custom or origin? Personally, I'm going to go with a custom character on my first run. I think immersion-wise, it will be so much fun to just assume the role of a character without being held to the constraints of a predetermined backstory. I won't RP myself to a T as I don't push bards off cliffs IRL, but generally speaking, the character that I do create, I plan on fully assuming that role the best that I can, and yeah, kind of pretending that it's a version of me living in this world. The Forgotten Realms has been a setting that I've enjoyed my entire life, but most of the time I've just been reading about characters, other characters, such as Drizzt Do'Urden and Elminster. Now it's time for me to make my own character. It seems like Larian has stepped up their game with custom characters as well when you compare it to Divinity Original Sin 2, where a large portion of the player base felt like the origin characters just had much more going on. They're much more developed, while the custom characters were a bit bland when in comparison. It's hard to know in Baldur's Gate 3 how that will turn out because we've not experienced it fully yet, but from my experience in early access with a custom character, it's been great so far. Now, the owner of Larian Studios, Sven, actually has recommended to players who plan on playing the game more than once to play as a custom character on their first run. I got this from the recent Drop Frames interview, Drop Frames podcast, and I'll leave a link below. From Sven's perspective, playing through the game as a custom character first will in turn enhance your origin character's playthrough later on, as you'll have already met those characters while playing as your custom character, maybe even taken them as companions and learned a bit about them, but you never could truly fully understand them. And later on, when you play as an origin character, the perspective will change to you actually being the origin character, and you'll be able to catch things and understand why on your custom run an origin character may have acted a certain way, or why they viewed you a certain way. You'll be able to see the world from their perspective, how they saw you for the first time. So it seems like Larian's main goal for the origin characters was to offer replayability. But with that said, and Sven even said this himself, do what you want to do. Playing as an origin character on your first run is 100% completely fine, and it will offer a fantastic experience just like your custom character. Just consider that it may also be a ton of fun to experience this new story as yourself or a custom character first, especially considering that the events that play out with your character may end up being canon in D&D history, and then switching it up and completely changing the perspective and playing as an origin character and experiencing that story from a different angle. Alright, now it's time to let these characters early access either first or second interaction scenes play out so you can get a feel for them. But actually, Karlach's scene, which Wyll is also a big part of, is footage from the full game, as well as the Dark Urge scene that I'm going to show you. I'm going to leave Wyll's early access intro scene out of this video as his character has been rewritten, but the scenes that you see with Karlach and Wyll are finalized. Also note that the Dark Urge will not be a recruitable companion, but I do have a very early scene of the Dark Urge experiencing some sort of vision or urge. So light spoiler warnings have been given. Thank you all so much for watching, and let me know below in the comments what you are thinking about doing.
Time for a chat.
One horn, the stink of Avernus, advocatus diaboli.
Well, I'll be God's damned. The Blade of Frontiers. Thought I'd shaken you for good. That'll teach me to underestimate you. Bloody right. An honor to be chased by the Blade of Frontiers, but I...
A great heat roars through you, her heat, fiery as the hells. Then you're lost in visions of demonic armies as you tear through a landscape of fire and blood, the Blood War. You saw it from above as the Nautiloid passed through Avernus. This woman was on the front line.
What was that?
Evidence, proof that you're a devil, a gladiator in the archdevil Zariel's army.
I can explain, but it's a whole situation. If you just hear me out...
Another vision. Karlach's blade raised, slicing through devils, Zariel's servants, as her eyes dart around, seeking escape. Her rage and desperation seep into you. She is a victim of the Blood War, not an agent of it.
She's trying to trick us. Don't believe her lies.
You saw the truth. I never wanted to serve Zariel. I was enlisted in her army against my will. Forced to fight, and fight I did. When I saw an opportunity to get away, I took it. Finally home. Near it, anyway.
You served her. That's enough to damn you.
Wyll catches his breath and his lips straighten. Sheer dread twists his face.
You don't know what you're saying. You're asking me to trust a devil.
Listen to sense now. I don't want this to end badly for either of us. You know monsters, right? Better than anyone. Look into my eyes. Can't you see I'm not what you think?
Shit. You really are no devil, are you? I've been deceived.
Oh, thank the gods. Thought I was gonna have to take your head.
You would have died in the attempt. But there have been enough threats today.
Truce then, eh?
Aye. Truce.
I'm Karlach, but you already knew that. And you are... Well met, soldier. Nice to meet a friendly around here. It's been tough going so far. I may not be a devil, but I can put the Blade's reputation to work. How would you feel about helping me kill some evil bastards? Little background, if your moral compass needs something to point at. You already know I fought in the Blood War. I was good. Really good. It turns out I've got a knack for killing demons. That made me a valuable asset. Zariel, the archdevil herself, made me as her personal attack dog. I played along until I could get the fuck out of there. But devils don't like to lose their assets. Zariel liked it so little. She sent a bunch of goons, so-called paladins of Tyr, to take me back. Problem is, I'm not going. Fuck yes! They cornered me outside the toll house just up the hill. Doubt they've gone far after the scorching I gave them. Then we can work on evicting this parasite and take Faerun by the short hairs. Sound good?
I like her. She looks like she could throw me over her shoulder and carry me to safety, should the need arise.
I'd hug you if it wouldn't scorch your skin off. Whew. I'm getting all het up. Let's make tracks.
You've been witness to a pantomime, I'm sorry to say. And I've played my part all too poorly. I can say only this. Karlach's not the only one who's had a villain's knife held to their throats. One night soon, when we make camp, the veil will be lifted, and I'll pay my penance. You don't know the half of it.
You drink in the pungent corpse. Since you awoke on the ship, your mind has been cold and empty, but something stirs. With your hands close to this body, you know nothing of why, but you find a half smile flittering across your face. You see flashes of flesh, all lumped together in a mass grave. No single image sticks out. There is something unknown and unspeakable deep within your heart.
Hurry! I've got one of those brain things cornered. There, in the grass. You can kill it, can't you? Like you killed the others? I was hoping for a kind soul. Well, not to worry. I saw you on the ship, strutting about whilst I was trapped in that pod. What did you and those tentacled freaks do to me? I'm not an idiot. I saw... Ah!
Your mind twists. You're looking out of unfamiliar eyes, prowling dark, busy streets. You try to hold the memory, but it fades to the worm. The light. The fear.
What was that? What's going on? It's those tentacled monsters. Whatever they did to us caused that link. They took you too. I saw it during... whatever just happened. And to think, I was ready to decorate the ground with your innards. Apologies. Indeed we are. Please, allow me to introduce myself. My name's Astarion. I was in Baldur's Gate when those beasts snatched me. Is that so? We clearly move in different circles. So, do you know anything about these worms? No. Of that much we can be certain. These worms are already affecting me. I can feel it. Now, what to do about it? Well, getting out of here for a start. Then finding anyone who knows about these worms. I need an expert. Someone who knows how to control these things. Well, yes, of course. But first things first. Tempting, but your party seems a little crowded right now. I like to have my space. I was ready to go this alone, but maybe sticking with the herd isn't a bad idea. Safety in numbers, after all. And I hate to turn down an invitation. All right. Maybe I'll see you there. Good luck.
Blasted door, right? What? Stop! Not another step or I'll... Wait. It's you. I saw you on the ship. You survived then.
Suddenly, you see what she sees, feel what she feels. Anger, confusion, resolve.
Ah! You. You've got the same thing I do. In your head. I felt it. Yes. And they put a tadpole in my eye, too. I assume that's what caused our minds to cross. But that's the least of our problems. These things are going to consume us from the inside and turn us into mind flayers. I wish I was being dramatic. This is how the mind flayers breed. We host their spawn, and once they're ready, they'll tear right through us. I'm not sure how much time we have left, but I'm not going to wait to find out. You and I need a healer. Finding one won't be easy in this wilderness. We'll need supplies. I'm hoping something of use might be behind this door, but I've barely made a dent in it so far. It already has. These things here didn't die in their sleep. I'm going to see what's at the top of this cliff. Hopefully there's no more of these creatures along the way. Or just company for our final moments. But you're right. Whatever lies ahead will be a little less daunting with support. You can call me Shadowheart. Lead the way.
You're alive. That's unexpected. Last I saw you, you were lying in a crucible's worth of blood. An intellect devourer nibbling at your ear. Glad to see my eyes deceive me. I'm Gale. Well met. The very same. A traumatizing experience, if an instructive one. Nautiloids are incredibly rare vessels, a mind flayer colony's most guarded secret, and a gift pack's greatest prize. Not to mention, you're staring at me like a Rashimi at a blackboard. You're no wizard, are you? Because I need one, but it'll have to wait. The primary need now is a healer. I take it you recall the insertion of the parasite? Are you aware that after a period of excruciating gestation, it'll turn us into mind flayers? A process known as seromorphosis? It is to be avoided. I assume you're no accomplished healer either. Powerful cleric, maybe? I gathered as much. We'll have to look for a solution elsewhere. You and I are in a whole lot of trouble. We need help, and I'm not sure where we'll find it in this wilderness. How about we embark on the quest for a healer together? And I'm flattered, I'm sure. But it seems you're traveling with a substantial amount of companions already. Maybe later, yes?
At the ready.
You think it's dangerous?
Zoru was right. Yellow as a toad and twice as ugly.
The thing's dangerous. Leave it for the goblins to kill.
And if it escapes, how will you... Oh, a guest.
Your skull pounds in response to the prisoner's white-hot stare. Her lips don't move, yet you hear her voice.
You again. Get rid of them.
Your words flow to her, though you never speak them aloud.
I know what grows inside you, and I know of a cure.
Remember how keen she was to leave me to die in the Nautiloid? We can't trust her.
He's right. Let's go. We need to check out that blast.
Enough gawking. Get me down. Never. The tadpole hasn't yet scrambled all your senses. Auspicious. But the longer we wait, the more it consumes. My people possess the cure for this infection. I must find a creche. You will join me.
Careful. She obviously sees your kindness as weakness. Don't let her take advantage.
It is many things. A hatchery, a training grounds, a shelter. Githyanki protocol is clear. When infected with a Gaith tadpole, we must report to Augustil for purification. You are full up. Dismiss your weakest warrior. Very well, but heed my words. The Horned Ones mentioned a camp. One there, this Zoru, has seen Githyanki. A creche must be near. I must interrogate this Zoru. Our very lives depend on it. I will be at your camp. Do not keep me waiting.